Hello, lovely people. Welcome to the Sunday chat. Today I'm going to talk about blood pressure. And before you run away because you do not have high blood pressure, I do think this could be useful information, even if you don't have high blood pressure now, but to avoid it. And avoiding it, I think you'll want to. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I had a really, really nice weekend. Did a bit of work yesterday. Hi, Jennifer. Nice to see you. Worked yesterday morning, and the rest of the weekend we had our granddaughters over to stay, and had a really nice day today. We went to Kick Air, which is some crazy trampolining and soft, what is it, sort of inflatable assault course thing, and lots of trampolines as well. And it just actually made me think how lucky I feel that we can do that we can actually go in there with them. And I noticed that there weren't actually a lot of parents, let go grandparents, with any of the children in there. And many of them were just, running around by themselves while the parents watched. And we went in and really enjoyed it. And I felt really sort of lucky that I'm well enough, fit enough, healthy enough to jump around on a trampoline and on an inflatable assault course. And for me, actually, that also is part of my motivation to stay healthy, so I can do these things, and that does enhance my life. And I think it's really important when you thinking about being healthy and maybe the sacrifices that you need to make for that, that you think about what you get in return for that. What is it actually that you want to achieve in your life? What is it that makes you happy? And can you do these things if you're not well, if you're not healthy? And if not, and that could really work as a motivator for you to do these things, to maybe do a little bit more physical activity, eat a little bit more healthily, try to reduce your stress, sleep better, because then you'll be able to live your best life. And at the end of the day, that's probably what we all want. But what that best life looks like for you, that is an important question to ask yourself, because what maybe my best life could not be your best life. I can totally see why you are not at all interested in running around on trampolines and inflatable assault courses. But what is it that you do want to do? And I'm sure that will be impacted if you're not healthy. So today I'm going to talk about blood pressure, and like I said, don't run away if you think that's not your problem, because that is everybody's problem. Not everybody's problem necessarily, but that is a risk for everybody, that your blood pressure is going to get too high because of lifestyle factors. And as always, I'm just so passionate to let people know what they can do to be as healthy as they can be, and often that's more than they think they can do. And once you know that, you realise that, and you start taking a little bit of action, you're just going to really, really reap the benefits. You're going to feel so much better. Everything will fall into place. Right, so high blood pressure. What do I mean by high blood pressure? Well, you might be shocked to hear that ideally you don't really want your blood pressure to be over 110/70. And a lot of people, if they did have their blood pressure measured, would have higher than that. So that's why I think that this is interesting for many more people than you think who may be interested in this, because many people will have blood pressure that is higher than 110/70. Now, that's not to say that if it's higher than that, that you're at immediate risk or danger. But if your blood pressure levels are chronically higher than that, then you will have increased your risk of cardiovascular disease, strokes, dementia, kidney problems. So it is a really, really important factor for your health to keep your blood pressure under 110/70. And of course, you can get medication if you have high blood pressure, and that's generally what happens if you go to the GP and they find out that your blood pressure is higher than desired. Then the course of action would be to put you on blood pressure medication. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm against all medication, but I will be honest with you, and I will try to avoid it if I can, because all medications have side effects, and negative side effects, and especially in the case of blood pressure medication, it's one of these types of medications where once you start taking it, they'll keep you on it for the rest of your life. It's very difficult to then get off it. So if you can avoid that, that would be great. And that's why I think, it's even more important, if you don't have it already, to watch this video and listen to my tips on how you can avoid high blood pressure. With the medication, it's always a case of, there's a game called Whack-A-Mole, where you just literally, these moles pop up and then you whack them down. And medication works a little bit like that. It's just like something pops up, whack it down with medication, and it doesn't actually often treat the cause of the issue. Most medications will be prescribed for reducing the symptom. So high blood pressure will be a result of something's causing that, and the medication will lower it. But if you don't treat the cause of it, then obviously that's an ongoing situation, and that's why many people will stay on that medication for the rest of their lives. So what causes it then? How do you get high blood pressure? Insulin resistance is a major cause of high blood pressure. So insulin resistance is the point where your cells get a little bit tired of listening to insulin. When you eat carbohydrates, these will be converted into glucose in your blood, but your body can't really use that glucose until it gets into the cells. So the glucose needs to get from the blood into the cells. And often the way that that's done is through insulin. So insulin is a hormone produced by your pancreas, and it works a little bit like a key that unlocks the door to the cells, if you like, and lets the cells open up to take the glucose out of the blood so they can use that glucose to create energy. Now, if you continuously consume more carbohydrates than your body really can cope with, which basically is the modern day diet, nearly everybody now eats more than enough carbohydrates, and so your body will be producing insulin all the time to get rid of that glucose out of your blood. And if that happens a lot, then the whole system gets a little bit overwhelmed, and your cells in your body are just not going to react to the insulin anymore, and they're just going to say, right, that's it, I'm not opening up, I'm not taking the glucose in, sort yourself out, and you end up with a lot of glucose and insulin in your blood. And it's actually the insulin that's the most damaging, but high glucose in your blood is not great either. So you will definitely have increased your risk of high blood pressure if your blood glucose and insulin levels are high. So how do you reduce that? We'll talk about that in a second. So I just want to go through a few more potential causes of high blood glucose levels. So insulin resistance is caused by the consumption of too many carbohydrates, and especially refined carbohydrates and added sugars in your diet. Processed foods, because that will cause inflammation. So have a little think about your diet. Is it high in carbohydrates, refined carbohydrates, sugars, processed foods? I mean, processed foods are literally killing you. Not on the spot, but slowly they're killing you. We're not meant to eat that shit. So have a think about that as well. What part of your diet is processed food? And I don't blame anyone for having a diet like that, because I'm just surprised that anybody's not insulin resistant by, when you look at the food that's available in the supermarkets, what people think is a normal diet these days. So it's not that you're stupid or you're lazy. It's just this environment that we live in that, will have to make you more aware of what you're eating, and really, really consider the avoidance of processed foods, and try to stick as much as possible to real food. Another cause of high blood pressure could be heavy metals toxicity. So you could have too much heavy metals in your system, and that could be from your environment, from you being exposed to metals. It could be from the drinking water from the tap. If you don't filter it, there's some metals in there. But in our environment, we're exposed to a lot of toxins all the time. As an aromatherapist, I have a lot of solutions for cleaning products, skincare products that will reduce the toxic load in your life. And if you're interested to hear more about that, please let me know. Then I'm happy to give you more information about that. I have loads of resources that I can send you if you want to maybe look at how to use some more natural products for cleaning your house instead of toxic cleaning products that we buy. So yeah, I'd be very happy to produce that information for you. Another reason for high blood pressure could be sleep apnea. So if you suffer from sleep apnea, that can cause high blood pressure. Often that is caused by overweight. Not always, but in many cases that's caused by overweight. So in that case, it would be really good to try and sort out your sleep apnea by trying to lose weight. And it could also be dietary deficiencies that cause high blood pressure, in particular omega-3. If you're not getting enough omega-3 in your diet, and to be honest, not many people do, and that's why I do suggest for most people that you take an omega-3 supplement, because it's really difficult to get enough from your diet. You'd have to eat a lot of oily fish, probably so much oily fish that you're going to get mercury poisoning from, the mercury in the oily fish. So oily fish would be mackerel, salmon, sardines. So omega-3 supplement, I think, is a good idea. And if you want any information about good omega-3 supplements, please let me know. But they are widely available, and you can get advice on those in lots of shops as well if you go to health shops. But I'm also happy to inform you about that. Of course, high blood pressure, as we all know, can be caused by stress. So if you have high levels of stress, especially chronic stress, and I mean, who doesn't at the moment with all the shit that's thrown at us every day, that will cause high blood pressure. And another one that I would like to mention is lack of exercise. If you're not physically active, and I don't just mean exercise, but just moving your body throughout the day, then you are also very much more likely to have higher blood pressure. So that's really important that you just find any opportunity during the day to move your body. That will make a really big difference. Even if you don't feel like joining a class or going to the gym, then maybe consider just whenever you can, move your body. Take the stairs, do some star jumps when the kettle's boiling. Well, maybe not star jumps, especially not if you're a woman and you've given birth, then you probably want to avoid the star jumps. But, whatever you could do, press-ups on the work surface, squats, find these opportunities to move your body during the day. That will make a big difference and that drastically reduce the risk of high blood pressure. A lot of people think that salt causes high blood pressure. Now, I don't want to make it sound like salt is not at all a problem and that you could eat as much salt as you like. That's not true. But if you eat real food, i.e. is it an egg, did it have a face or did it grow somewhere, or close to that, then you don't really have to worry about your salt intake, because a lot of the excess salt intake comes from processed foods. So if you eat real food, meat, fish, eggs, vegetables, and you cook it yourself, then it's highly unlikely that you're going to consume too much salt. In fact, there could actually be a risk that you're not getting enough salt. What's even more impactful on our blood glucose levels is our levels of potassium. And we used to, when we had a healthier diet, have a much better ratio of salt and potassium intake. And potassium in your diet you'll find mainly in vegetables, especially green vegetables. So if you eat plenty of vegetables, then you will get plenty of potassium, and that is really beneficial for maintaining good blood pressure. So, that's a problem with a lot of people. They don't eat enough vegetables, and the official advice is 5 portions a day, but most of these guidelines are made up numbers, and I think 5 is a minimum. You can have unlimited amount of vegetables. Nobody's ever got ill from eating too many vegetables. So I wouldn't worry about salt if your diet is a healthy diet, but if you eat a lot of processed food, then you should cut that out anyway, because that's going to kill you slowly. So cause inflammation, autoimmune disease, gut problems, mental issues. So that would be a good idea to cut that out. anyway, and then I think the risk of you having too much salt is zero. But do increase your intake of potassium, and if you feel that you can't get that from the vegetables in your diet, then again I would say maybe have a potassium supplement or a magnesium supplement would be beneficial as well. I'll come back to that later as well, just to summarize the supplement advice in this video. So those, I think, did I mention lack of sleep already? That can also be a problem. So if you don't sleep well, then chronically, not if you have a couple of bad nights sleep, but if you chronically don't sleep well, that will also have an impact on your blood pressure. So do what you can with that. So how do we reduce the blood pressure then, or how can we make sure that we avoid getting high blood pressure? Avoid processed foods. Include plenty of vegetables, a variety of vegetables. Don't eat the same stuff all the time. That actually goes for all the nutrients in your diet. Have a nice variety, because every food has different benefits for you. So the more you mix it up, the more you get from it. Cut out carbohydrates, or cut them down as much as possible, except for the carbohydrates in vegetables. Don't worry about those. So just eat plenty of vegetables. Make sure you have protein. Most of your meals have protein. Add a load of vegetables, and that's it, you're done. If you want to add a few starches, do that, but keep it to a minimum and choose the ones with the highest fiber content. And that is basically the dietary advice for you to be super healthy. You don't have to make it complicated. Just eat real food, variety of foods. Make sure you get your protein, most meals, the size and the thickness of the palm of one hand roughly per meal, and then you'll be winning. You'll be super healthy. Include healthy fats in your diet. That's really important for healthy blood pressure levels as well. So especially omega-3, which you can get from seeds, fish, oily fish. And if you feel that you can't get it from the diet, then I would advise that you have a supplement with that. Start your day not with carbs and cereals and bread and things like that. Start your day with proteins and fats. That already sets you up really icely. You'll be satiated, so you feel nice and full, and it won't increase your blood glucose levels, and it will help with your blood pressure. And I would argue that reducing the carbohydrates in your diet is a much more effective way of avoiding high blood pressure levels than to avoid the salt in your diet. So I would always reduce carbohydrates. Well, I would do that anyway, but definitely for blood pressure as well. Stay hydrated. That's also really important, and not many people know how important that is for blood pressure. I think people realize it's good for your digestive system, it's good for your brain, and good for your skin. Also, if you're dehydrated, it's really difficult for your body to burn fat. So that's why it's a good reason to try and drink at least 6, but probably 8 glasses of water a day if you can. And it's also important for your blood pressure. So stay well hydrated. Supplements, I've mentioned you can take magnesium supplements, potassium, omega-3. Those are the ones for blood pressure I would suggest. And exercise a lot. I do get questions sometimes. People ask me, but if you exercise, your blood pressure goes up. So how can that be good for your blood pressure? And that's true, especially if you do cardiovascular exercise where your breathing's faster and your heart rate goes up. Your blood pressure will also go up, but that's temporarily. So yes, in the short term, your blood pressure will go up when you exercise, but in the long term, it will improve. So it's definitely good to do it. So don't let that stop you. Stress reduction, super important. Easier said than done, I know, because like I said, we've got so much crap dumped on us in the last, 3 years, if not more. And that is causing a lot of stress for a lot of people. But don't just accept that. I think that's really important, that you don't just sit there and think, well, that's life. Everybody's stressed. Life is stressful. There are so many things that you can do to reduce your stress levels, and I'll do a separate video on that. But if you're struggling and you want a little bit of advice with that, then please let me know in the comments or contact me, and I will have a chat. There are essential oils that you can use for stress. There are strategies that you can use. And there's so many things you can try. Even if you tried something new every week, you would never run out of things to try for the rest of your life. So don't accept it. Try to do what you can to reduce your stress levels, because that will also benefit you, your blood glucose levels, so blood pressure and blood glucose. So stress is not a problem, but we're only meant to be stressed for a very short time, and then it should go away, because what happens when we're stressed is not good for us in the long term. So we can't have experienced that for long periods of time, but short stress is okay. That's what it was designed for, the stress response for short stress. I can do another video on that. So I haven't really gone into great detail on any of these things, because I don't want these videos to be too long, because you might, get bored and not watch them. But I just touch upon it, give you some ideas, and if you feel like you want to know a little bit more about any of these things, just let me know. And like I said, I'm happy to chat or send you more information. Where were we? Reduce stress, yeah, breath work, yoga, meditation. There's loads of things that you can do. Aromatherapy. Sleep is important, and again, lots of strategies. And I know that it's difficult with sleep and stress to sort the problem out 100%. But even if you can improve it, you will still benefit from that. So don't feel that just because you can only do a little bit that it's not worth doing. It is worth doing, even if you do a little bit, because all these little bits will add up. So that was sort of in a nutshell. Blood pressure, high blood pressure, what are the causes? You may have higher than desired blood pressure, even if your blood pressure seems to not be in a dangerously high level. You ideally want to keep it below 110/70 if you can, and like I said, not many people have that level of blood pressure. If you want more information, let me know. If you want to adopt a diet that will improve your blood pressure, I do have an online course, 21-day primal health course. If you would follow that, you will already see a difference in the 21 days. It doesn't actually, once you start to take action, it doesn't take that long for you to see a result, and you will already see a result in your blood pressure in that amount of time. I will put a link in the description or chat box, wherever you're watching this, because I'll put this on, obviously it's a Facebook Live, so it's on Facebook. I'll put it in the comments. I will download it onto YouTube, and I will put it in the description, and it will also be in the blog on my website, and I will also leave it in there. So I'll put the link to the 21-day Primal Health Program, which is an online program that you can do in your own time. Comes with daily tasks, with advice on diet, physical activity, sleep, stress. There's also the A Real Health Thing Insiders program, where for a very small amount, monthly payment, because I'm having an introductory offer to grow that community at the moment, because I've only just started it. So you can join that if you want some support with the diet, with your physical activity, with your sleep and your stress. That will be weekly Zoom calls for information on questions, answers, and ongoing support, access to a private portal where you can submit your weight, your waist circumference, your physical activities, your food diaries, and you will have access to that information, of course. I'll leave the link for more information about that as well. And yeah, let me know if you have any tips that I haven't mentioned that have helped you to reduce your blood glucose levels, because then we can help each other as well. Thank you for watching. Oh, before I forget, the most important part of the video, of course, this is why I do these videos, is to encourage you to set yourself a little goal for your health, a weekly goal. And so I do this on a Sunday every week. It doesn't take long, literally takes a few minutes, but it's that taking action that's going to make you successful. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't take action, nothing's going to happen. So you need to take action. How do you do that? Set yourself a little goal. once a week for 1 week only. So that's not stressful because it's only 1 week. You won't forget it, you'll stay enthusiastic. It's very flexible. If you have a busy week coming up or you're not feeling well, you can set yourself a goal accordingly. But if you feel up to a more challenging goal, then you do that. So this week, what was my goal last week? I think my goal last week was to only go on Twitter twice a day. I stuck to that goal apart from one day where I did go on it a bit more often. And I don't even know why, there was no need for it, it's just habit. But I'm pretty pleased because I did it most days, so that's good for my mental health. And this week, my goal will be that I'm going to do a little bit of intermittent fasting. Let me know if you want to hear more about that. I can do a video about it, but I'm sort of a little bit careful with it because I don't think... I'm a massive fan of fasting, intermittent fasting, but I don't think it's something that you should do before you've sorted out your diet generally. So if you still feel that your diet needs a little bit of tweaking before it's a healthy, balanced diet, then I would do that first before you add more stress to the party by starting intermittent fasting. Fasting sounds really serious and hard to do, but it's actually not, because especially the most popular intermittent fasting model is the 16-8, where you don't eat for 16 hours and then you have all your food in 8 hours. And that's not difficult at all, because if you have your evening meal at 6 o'clock in the evening, then you can have your first meal the next day at 10 o'clock in the morning. Now that's not very difficult at all. But having said that, I sort of stopped doing it, and I don't actually really know why. I was a massive fan of that, and I did it nearly every day. I would not eat for 16 days, but for some reason, I don't know, I think it's work related. I'm not sure what happened. I think maybe when I started to work in the field again and not from home, so I had to then go out and be away for hours, and then I think I had breakfast to make sure that I had something to eat before I went out. I think that's probably the reason, and then I just got out of the habit. So I'm going to have a look at my diary and see how I can fit in 3 days this week of intermittent fasting, where I will only eat for 8 hours during the day and not eat for 16 hours. And for me, that normally means that I'll have my last meal at 6 and my first meal at 10 o'clock in the morning. But you can do different models as well. You could do longer periods of fasting. I would say anything over 12 to 14 hours of not eating is already beneficial. But that's a whole other new subject, which we'll talk about another time. That's just my goal for this week. Think about what it is that you can do this week to be as healthy as possible. Like I said before, I hope you haven't gone into fuck it, it's Christmas mode already, where you just have your cornflakes with Baileys in the morning and eat mince pies all day. So make sure that yes, do enjoy Christmas period and do enjoy the seasonal treats if you like them, but not all day, every day from now till Christmas, because then you're going to do a lot of damage. So, you know, choose your moments, enjoy it, and then really enjoy it when you have it. But yeah, a little bit of damage limitation. I did actually write a blog about that as well, and now I'm talking about it. I'll put the link in the comments to that blog. And so you can have a look at some tips around damage limitation in the festive period. Right, that was it. Let me know if you want to share your health goal for this week. What are you going to do? And if you join the Real Healthing Insiders, then we will also do weekly goal setting, and there will be an option for you to submit your health goal in the system as well. So have a wonderful week. Thank you for watching, and do like it if you watch it on YouTube, and maybe subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, because I think that's what people say who make these videos, so I thought I might do that as well. And if you watch it on Facebook, then of course feel free to watch join the Facebook group, but you've probably already done that if you're here. Have a lovely week, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next Sunday. Love you lots. Bye.